Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Archaeologic. So today's topic is irrational equation and inequations. So what is irrational equation and inequations? So by definition we can say an equation with radical form is an irrational equation. And talking about inequation means you will have an equation in which sign is less than equal to or greater than equal to. So you can take a function f of x which can be less than g of x, and what we are saying, we are saying radical form. Suppose this value have power 1 by n and this value have power 1 by n, so this is a radical form. So we need to solve such type of inequations. Here sign is less than, that means in inequation means equal to sign means this represents an equation, and less than equal to or greater than equal to or greater than less than, these signs are representing inequation. That means equality may hold or may not. So by this we can take, what we can do, we can power up, powering nth both sides. So what we get, we will get f of x is less than g of x, correct? So whenever we have a radical form, we first what we do, we just remove this radical power, and this will be f of x less than g of x. And second thing we can do, we can solve this part by taking f of x minus g of x less than 0, and we will check range of this equation, whether what is the domain of x and what will be the range of x. So by this we can solve an irrational equation or inequation. So let's take an example so it will be more clear. So taking example, what we have an equation, or we can say an inequation, an inequality 3 cube root of 3 cube root of x minus 2 divided by x minus 1 is less than cube root of 1 upon x minus 1. So how to simplify this and find the domain of x, what will be the value of x? So what we can do, we can take cube on both sides. So what we get, we will get x minus 2 divided by x minus 1 is less than 1 upon x minus 1. And now what we can do, we cannot directly cancel out x minus 1 on both sides, and this is not the case because here equality is not given. So the next step will be x minus 2 divided by x minus 1 minus of 1 upon x minus 1 is less than 0. And now we can take LCM. So LCM will be x minus 1 and here will be x minus 2 minus of 1, which is less than 0. That gives the value x minus 3 divided by x minus 1 is less than 0. So how to solve this portion and get the value of x? So we can use wavy curve method. In wavy curve method, here what we need to observe is, here denominator is x minus 1. What does it mean? X minus 1, when we put 0, this gives the value x equal 1. That means x cannot be 1, otherwise the whole value will be undefined. So applying wavy curve method, applying a wavy curve, So what wavy curve says, we need to take critical values. So here critical value is 1 and one critical value x minus 3, that gives x minus 3 equals 0 gives x equal 3. So we represent these critical values on a real number line, and the real number line is minus infinity to infinity. So one value is 1 and second critical value is 3. So okay, so we need to observe in which part x will lie or not. So when values are less than 1, that means when value will be less than 1, here 1 is a critical value at which this whole value is undefined. That means we cannot take 1 as a value of x. So we are marking this value as a circle, as a dot. And then all values less than 1, when you put values less than 1, this value is negative and this value is again negative. So negative is cancel out, so all values will be positive whenever we take values less than 1. And now when we take values greater than 1 and less than 3, so this value will be positive and this value will be negative. So positive negative will be negative, and similarly all values which is greater than 3, this value is positive and this value is again positive, so this will be positive. So wavy curve says positive means we have to go upward and negative means we have to go downward and then again upward. So this whole value is less than 0, that means we need to take negative part, and negative part is this, that is 1 2 3, and 1 is not lying inside and 3 is also not lying inside, because here only less than sign is given, not equal to. That means x will be greater than 1 and less than 3. So this is the range of x, that means x will lies between 1 and 3. So all values that lies between this will be the answer of this inequality. Okay, so we have another example. Let's see example number 2. What example number 2 is, we have x square minus 7x square whole power 1 by 5 is greater than minus 36 whole power 1 by 5. So this is a radical expression. We can say that this is a irrational equation or inequality, irrational inequality, because sign is greater than. So how to simplify this part? First of all, what we can do, solution, we can power up by 5 on both sides. So taking fifth power on both sides, so what we get, we will get x square minus 7x square will be greater than minus 36, correct? And now we can take this 36 to this side. Sorry, here power is 3, this is cubic form, so here power is 3. Okay, power is 3. So when we take this minus 36 to left hand side, what we have, we will have x cube minus 7x square plus 36 is greater than 0. And this is a cubic equation, but here equality is not there. Still we can factorize this. So one factor will be, by observation we can see that x equal x equal minus 2 will satisfy this part. How? When we take x equal minus 2, this value will be minus 8, minus this value will be minus 28, and plus 36 equals 0. That means x plus 2 is a factor, and rest value will be, by using the synthetic division. What is synthetic division? We can write it as, here factor is, here root is minus 2, and coefficients are 1, -7, 0 and 36. So what we can do, we can write as it is minus 2, here value is 0, here taking 0 because, and next factors power will be 2, so this is the coefficient of x cube, so here will be coefficient 0 and 1 plus 0 will be 1. Minus 2 into 1 is minus 2, and minus 7 plus minus 2 is minus 9. Now multiplying, so what we can do, we are doing adding and multiplying, so minus 2 into minus 9 is 18, and 0 plus 18 is 18, and minus 2 into 18 is minus 36, that gives the value 0. So these values are the coefficients of that quadratic equation, that is coefficient is 1, so we have x square, and coefficient is minus 9, so minus 9x, coefficient is 18, so plus 18, which is equal to 0. So we can also factorize this part. This will give the factors x plus 2, and here we have 18, so we can factorize as a minus 6 and minus 3, so we have x minus 3 and x minus 6 equals 0. So we have three factors here, but in original portion sign is greater than, so we can write it as x plus 2, x minus 3, x minus 6 is greater than 0. And again by applying wavy curve method, we can represent x plus 2 equals 0 gives x equal minus 2, and this set factor gives x equal 3, and this factor will give x equal 6, correct? So we can represent this on number line. We have minus infinity, infinity, we can write it as minus 2, and this is 3, and this is 6. So all values less than minus 2, when you put any value less than minus 2, so this portion will be negative, this portion is again negative, this portion is again negative, so three negatives, that means whole portion is negative. And the values greater than minus 2 and less than 3, so whenever we take any value lies between this, so this portion is positive, this portion is negative, this portion is negative, so overall we have positive. And or any value lies between 3 and 6, so this portion is positive, this is positive, and this is negative, so this is negative. And all values greater than 6, this is positive, 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 that means this is positive. So curve will be like this, correct? And now sign is greater than, that means we have to take positive part only, that means x will belong to minus 2 to 3 union 6 to infinity. So we can take any value of x between these parts or between these intervals, where minus 2 and 3 are not inside the interval because we are taking open interval, and here sign is greater than, that's why we are taking open interval. So this will be the range, or you can say domain of this inequation, range of x. So next part is, what is next part? Next part is transformation of graph. Okay, so topic is transformation of a graph. So what is transformation of a graph? Suppose we have an example, we will understand this by example. Whenever we take a function f of x equal square root of x, so how to transform this function? First of all, represent this in a quadratic plane, or you can say the graph will be of square root 2 on Cartesian plane will be this, correct? So you can write it as, because this is square root, you can map all values, or you can directly represent, if you know this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this will be the f of x equal square root x, correct? So we need to transform and check all behavior of this graph, how graph is changing, how this function, whenever we modify this function, what will happen in this graphical representation. So this is negative part of x-axis and this is negative part of y-axis, correct? So suppose we are taking f of x equal minus of square root x. Here function is same, just we are taking negative sign outside. So what will be the consequences of taking negative sign on the graph? So this is negative x-axis, this is negative y-axis, this is y-axis, and this is x-axis. So whenever you take negative sign, that means this is f of x. F of x is what? This is representing y. This is representing y-axis. F of x is representing y-axis. So we can also write it as y equal minus of square root x. So value of x is same, nothing is changing, but the outcome is y. Y will be negative. Here this part y equals square root x, that means x is, whenever we take x and this directly change the value of y in a positive quadrant, and when we take negative sign, that means value of x is same but a value of y will goes in negative axis, around negative axis. So graph will be like this, correct? So this is f of x equal minus of square root x. So whenever we take negative sign, graph will be like this. And next, when we take f of x equal square root of minus x. So now what we are doing, we are taking a negative sign inside of this square root. So how to represent this? This will be, this is x, this is y x dash, and this is y dash, and this is 0. So value of y is positive, y equal square root of minus x. Value of y is positive, but value of x will be negative. Whenever we take any positive value, this value will be negative. Just because of this sign, so x will be negative axis, and graph is like same, so it all is just change the direction like this. F of x equal square root of minus x. And what happened when we take f of x equal minus of square root minus x? So when you take f of x equal minus of square root x, so there will be two things that happen. So this is x-axis, this is y, and this is x dash, this is y dash. So first thing that happen is, can take y equal minus of square root minus x. So here x is negative because negative sign is there, that means x will lie on the x-axis will be this negative side, and y is again, due to this negative sign, the outcome will be negative, that means this side, and this will be the graph. Just because of two negative signs, one is for x-axis, one is for y-axis, so graph will be this, f of x equal minus of square root minus x, correct? So these are the directions that we can change of a graph or a curve on Cartesian plane just by putting negative sign inside or outside, wherever you want. And how to scale up? So suppose we have f of x equal 2 times of square root x and f of x equal square root x. So we are just scaling up by 2 here, and here is same function. So for this, what we have, sign is positive, so it will be in first quadrant, and this will be, so first of all make this is the same as we have taken up previously. and this is x-axis, this is y. So when you scale up or multiply by 2, so what you have noticed is x is same. That means all points of x is just same, but the point of y, this is y, becomes 2 times. That means here when y is this, and when I multiply or scale up by 2, so this value will be 2 times, so graph will be like this, correct? So this is graph of square root x, and this is graph of 2 times square root x. So what change you have noticed is graph is shifted upward somehow. And similarly, when you multiply, when you take f of x equals 1 by 2 times of square root x, that means graph will be like this graph will bend somehow like this, little bit bend up. So this is 0, and so when you scale up by bigger value, graph will shift to y axis direction, positive y axis direction. And when you uh, scale up by a value which is less than 1, so graph will bend towards x axis. So this is the difference how we can observe what effect will be there when we scale up. And now suppose we have f of x equal square root x plus of 3. So the graph of this will be, first of all you make Cartesian plane, this is y, this is x, this is 0, and initial graph is this square root x, and we are adding 3. So this 3 is finally adding up to y, correct? Y equals square root x plus 3. So suppose initially graph is started from origin, so when you take 0, so y will be not 0 but 3. That means here 1 2 3. So graph will start from this point and rest will be same, correct? Rest will be same. So this is f of x equals square root x plus 3. And similarly, when we take f of x equal square root of x plus 3, that is we are adding inside square root. So this will be like this. Initially graph is started from origin, but we are adding plus 3 on x. That means just because of adding, this graph will be shifted negative side. Negative side means this is 1, this is -1, -2, -3. So graph will start from this point and rest will be same. So graph will be like this. F of x equals square root of x plus 3, and so on. So you can observe all graphs by shifting or by scaling up or by rotating, by taking negative sign, changing directions. All are like this. So you can transform any graph by just observing these conditions that we have discussed. So thank you so much. Thanks for watching. I hope you understand these things very much.